Hey there, Janae with Palin Projects here, and in this video we're going to talk about my 2025 goals for my garden. In kind of a prequel to this video, so kind of a part one, I walked you through how I plan out my garden. So here's my plans. I did all 16 of my beds and kind of walked through what I could fit into those beds. With keeping in mind what my garden goals were this year. So to kind of walk you through it, I have a decent sized garden and I wanted to maximize my space out there. I really feel like I haven't maximized my space in my garden for the last couple of years. Like I throw seeds in willy-nilly, like, you know, the planting season comes, it kind of, you know, gets out of hand a little bit, and I just throw seeds in to throw seeds in, which isn't a bad thing at all. But I really wanted to maximize my production this year, and in doing so, again, plan my garden out accordingly. From this garden plan, I'll walk you through my numbers. Just for plant starts, I can't really tell you how much yield I'm gonna get for in-ground planting, but just for plant starts, again, maximizing my time in the seed starting realm, out in my garden alone, I'm going to have 54 tomatoes and tomatillos. So a variety between the tomatillos and the tomatoes. So it's not like I'm going to have 54 tomatoes and 54 tomatillos. That would be astronomical. But in total, I'm going to have the space for 54 tomato plants, 8 okras. I do have to start okra inside. I can't start it outside. I don't have enough of a growing season either to start it outside, so that's why I can't. I mean, I could start it outside, and I've done it before. I've gotten like one piece of okra because okra takes a little bit longer and my growing season is so short. So I will be starting okra this year. 16 celery plants. 12 cucumbers. I'm on the fence about starting cucumbers inside. I probably will do it, you know, 4-ish weeks before my last, 2 to 4 weeks before my last frost. Cucumbers don't necessarily like their roots messed with. It tends to shock them a little bit. And so I'm on the fence about that. But again, to get what I need out of my garden, I'm going to probably start about half of those or all of them. 24 peppers. This includes my hot and my not hot peppers. I have a lot more varieties than 24, and so I'm going to have to find other places, whether it's in a garden bed or in containers this year. But 24 peppers out in my garden. 12 cabbages, which that's a lot of cabbage. But again, my family likes fried cabbage. I tend to do, or I'm wanting to do some stir fries and, you know, hibachi kind of meals. And so, you know, 12 cabbages we'll go through those relatively quickly. 12 broccoli, 12 cauliflower. Again, all of this is going to be indoor plant starts. The 12 broccoli and the 12 cauliflower, I'm not sure if that's going to be enough for what I want to do. Obviously, I want to enjoy it fresh eating because that's the best and it tastes the best. But I also want to do like a frozen mixed vegetable this year so that I'm not buying that throughout the winter. So I might have to, you know, pump those numbers up a little bit for those brassicas. I have not necessarily space out in my garden, but I have other space throughout our property. So I probably will look at bumping up the cabbage, broccoli, and cauliflower numbers and then putting them into like my flower beds or something like that. We'll see. 8 eggplant. That seems like a lot, and that seems like a lot. I might pare that down a little bit to make room for something else. Honestly, we haven't been big eggplant eaters, but I think it's because it's not readily available to us, and I'm just not super familiar with eggplant, like cooking it and whatnot. So I, you know, might pare it down a little bit and put something else in its place, because now that I think about it, that's a lot of plants. Lettuce, kale, chard. Again, something that you can direct seed, and I will probably do that, but I want to do some plant starts and fill my green stalks and have that kind of going. I haven't looked through my lettuce, kale, and Swiss chard seeds yet, but I know there's some like heading varieties, and I want to do succession sowing so that I don't have like 30 lettuce plants available all at once. Also, you know, I do have chickens, and so, you know, whatever I don't eat, I know they will absolutely love as well. I'm going to use the lettuce, kale, and chard, the Swiss chard, as more of like filler plants. So I don't necessarily have a number on those plants. I'm just going to probably do, you know, a couple rows of each, and then, again, succession sow those so that I have lettuce throughout the whole summer into the fall, and then hopefully I can bring some in for the winter time as well to have some fresh greens. Herbs. Another one, I haven't gone through my herb seeds. I want just a ton of fresh herbs this year. I want to try and grow enough herbs to restock our pantry and for teas and other medicinal things. So I'll walk you through my herb stash in a later video. Melons, again, another one that doesn't necessarily like their roots messed with or their feet messed with. But I've started melons in the past, or I've direct sowed melons in the past, and they just haven't produced anything. So I'm wondering if I start them indoors like 2 weeks prior, and you wouldn't think that 2 weeks prior is a lot of time, but that's 14 days of growing. It's pretty significant in my growing climate. So if I plant those indoors, start them, get them up and going, transition them out to the garden, and then put like a micro greenhouse over the top. Milk jug. Fancy word for a milk jug. I'm thinking I could probably get some melons, whether that's honeydew, watermelons, whatever the case is. Don't have a number on that either. I've also thought about doing peas. Peas are another kind of finicky one. They don't necessarily like their feet messed with or their roots messed with. And so I am thinking of doing gutter peas and then sliding them out into the garden bed. I could also just direct sow those. So that's what my plant starts are going to be this year. What are my garden goals? So I have a couple different garden goals this year. I just kind of alluded to some of them. With my herbs, I want to do kind of like a tea garden and grow enough so that I can make my own tea. I've actually been starting to gather tea recipes. I was trying to find it. Yeah, like mint, lavender, chamomile, and lemon balm, ginger tea, stuff like that. I order peaches and pears, so like maybe dehydrating some peaches and pears to go in it. Raspberry leaf tea, because we do have raspberry plants. Basil tea, chamomile tea, elderberry. I have elderberries. Rose petals, hip tea, you know, that kind of thing. Lemon balm, ginger, lavender, and just really growing my own and knowing what is going into that and utilizing the herbs that I have. So that's one of my, you know, I wouldn't say necessarily major goals, but one of my like self goals is to grow enough and preserve enough so that I can have my own tea. Obviously I can do all of my, you know, teas that I said fresh, so I can, you know, wash them and steep them fresh. But I want to also preserve enough and, you know, have a drying rack in order for me to have teas through the winter as well. Full garden goals this year. They're lofty, let me tell you that. I'm not necessarily growing food for a year for my family, but kind of. I'm really tired of going to the grocery store and seeing, you know, canned goods that have additional elements in them when I can a pint of green beans on my own in water and salt. And you don't even have to put the salt in it. It could just be water. If you really look at the back of a can of green beans, it has other, you know, preservatives and whatnot in it. Is it the best use of my time to can green beans? Probably not. But again, I prefer to do that so that I know what is in my vegetables and fruit, because I do have fruit here as well. So, getting back to it. I want 30 quarts of green beans. So no longer am I wanting to do pints. Pints are about this big. I want to do the quarts. Quarts are about that big. We're having to, I'm noticing this winter, I'm having to open 2 pints in order to feed my family, especially if we have other family or friends over. I really have to do like upwards of 2 or 3 pints to feed everyone at our house. So gonna do quarts this year. With that, what does that mean? It means that I need to succession plant my green beans, because I won't have the room in my pressure canner to do, I don't remember what it is, 18, 20 some quarts or 20 some pints in a batch. I'm gonna have to do and be like very regimented about using my pressure canner and making sure that that pressure canner is, you know, consistently going. So 30 quarts, 30 of the big jars of green beans. That means it's 30 meals, 52 weeks in a year. I will almost have a quart of green beans for each week. Again, it's not necessarily like, if I was growing food for the whole year, I would need more than that, most likely. I would probably need like upwards of 2 or 3 quarts a week. So I'm not trying to like overdo it this year. 1 quart a week for a meal of green beans. I want 30 freezer bags, and we do the quart freezer bags of corn. So we put 3 to 4 cups, or we haven't put 3 to 4 cups. We've done just 2 cups, but I want to do 3 to 4 cups of corn in a bag. Again, because my family is, you know, we have a bigger family now, we're needing more for a meal. And so 3 to 4 cups of corn in a quart bag, 30 freezer bags of corn. 30 freezer bags of mixed vegetables. That's where I was saying I'm probably going to amp up my broccoli and cauliflower game, because I want to do a mixed vegetable of corn, beans, broccoli, cauliflower, carrots. I don't know if I'm going to can that. That's why like freezing is a little bit easier. I just have to blanch, dry, and then freeze and combine. But I want 30 freezer bags of mixed vegetables. I use the mixed vegetables in a variety of recipes. Tater tot hot dish. We can throw it, I know it sounds a little weird, but you know, stews, whatever the case is. I think 30 packages of the mixed vegetables will do us for the year. I have it highlighted here. Corn, carrot, peas, and beans is what I really want to make sure gets into that mixed vegetable mix. The broccoli and cauliflower, I want the broccoli more on its own, because we do like broccoli and beef. So I want 30 pints. So again, the small jars, not the really small jelly jars, but you know, the small canning vegetable jars. 30 pints of crushed tomatoes. I used crushed tomatoes in chili, in tomato sauce, stews, you name it. So I think 30 pints of crushed tomatoes will do us for the year. I want 30 pints of dried beans. So I have a variety of dried beans that I'm going to try and do this year as well. I want to try and get 30 pints. Obviously, I don't have to can the beans, but what I'm finding right now is I do have a package of dried beans, and I'm not using it because the dried beans take some time to prep and take some time to cook. And so I want to be intentional again and can them so that they're ready to go. I use like black beans, kidney beans, pinto beans in soups, stews, chilies, stuff like that. So 30 pints of dried beans. I want to do 30 quarts of meals. So again, the big jars, big canning jars of just straight up meals. I think I did 12 last year. Amazing this winter. I don't know what to do for dinner, or, I'm needing a quick dinner. I'm getting home late from work, whatever the case is. I can, run to the pantry, pop open a quart of a meal, because I think it's beef stew, and I have something else that I pressure canned this year. I can make that beef stew into beef stew itself, or I can add a little bit more broth. Some of that, I've canned my own like beef broth and chicken broth. I add a pint of beef broth to that and add some noodles to it, and I have like a hearty, healthy beef vegetable soup. The kids really like it as well, and the meat is so tender and fantastic. So 30 quarts of just straight up meals. That in itself equates to 86 quarts. So again, the big jars, and 90 pints. Massive amount of canning that I am trying to do this year. And that's just, it's not a ton of vegetables and stuff, but I don't even have carrots on here. I don't even have beets on here yet. Oh my goodness. Ooh. I will pressure can carrots and beets as well, because we do go through those as like sides. And that's why I'm saying like 30 quarts of green beans. It's not a full like every week we have a green bean, because I want to substitute with like the carrots and the beets and whatnot. So the pint and the quart numbers probably will go up in regards to canned carrots and beets. So herbs this year that I'm looking at replenishing my pantry with: parsley, oregano, basil. I could do a whole video on basil. I have so many varieties. If you want me to go into a whole video, just let me know. Thyme, rosemary, dill, sage, cilantro, chamomile, lemon balm, mint, and then I'm thinking of doing ginger this year in a pot. Sage is a perennial, so wherever I put that, I need to make sure I want it there, and along with chives. Chives is a perennial, which just means they'll come back year after year for us. So I want to make sure that the sage and thyme is a semi-perennial in my area. If we don't have a harsh winter, it comes back. Just need to make sure that those two go into places where I want them to stay. Mint, I will do a pot, and lemon balm as well. They're bullies in the garden, so I won't put those in my garden beds. I'll put those in pots without a drainage hole as well. So more to come on the herb varieties and where I'll be using those, but those are what I want to restock my pantry with this year. Other goals for this year, I didn't do any pickling last year. So I want to do cucumbers, which turn into pickles, if you didn't know that. Jalapenos, I want to do cowboy candy and just do like a pickled jalapeno, because I love that on my tacos and whatnot. Pepperoncinis, it's been a couple years since I've pickled pepperoncinis. Say that 5 times fast. And they make great gifts. I have a lot of people who like my pickled pepperoncini recipe. Relish. My grandma has a fantastic relish recipe, and I need to stock that because we're out of relish, and I really prefer that relish over buying relish. Russian dills, and that's what I've always known them as. I don't know them as anything else. I was told that that's not the right thing to call them. That's what the recipe is called. It's a sweet dill. I've shared it with you all, I think, and if I haven't, I'll be doing it again this year. So, in that realm, again, I don't have the number of pints. I won't be doing quarts. I'll be doing pints of all of these, pints to smaller. I think I want to do like the small half jelly jars of the like cowboy candy and stuff. I probably will do pints of the pepperoncinis and the Russian dills. The relish actually works really good in like the jelly jars. The pickles, just regular cucumber pickles, I will do in probably pints as well. If you do them any bigger, then they tend to go bad in my fridge. We just don't eat them as fast. But we might now that, you know, our family is getting bigger and whatnot. So I don't have the numbers out of that. I need to go and assess what I have in my pantry and then build my numbers off of that. So again, my quart and pint jar numbers are going up. I'm wanting to do some powders as well. Garlic powder, stuff like that, again, to restock my pantry. And so I want to do a red pepper flake, a chili powder, tomato powder. I've heard this is really good just to add in. It doesn't necessarily add any flavor, but it like boosts up, you know, your dishes and stuff with just goodness and nutrients. A zucchini powder as well. I have garlic powder, and then just like a pepper powder. So like a hot and a not hot pepper powder for flavor. We talked through my teas already. And then paprika. That's the other one that I'm wanting to do. So restock my powders, restock my herbs, just restock my herb pantry just in general. And then yeah, we're looking at probably double the amount of pints easily on that, you know, on my goals. And then I would probably say another like 50% of quarts. Why am I doing this? Again, I've told you that I can go to the grocery store and buy a can of green beans for, I don't want to say next to nothing, but around $1. Does it cost me more than $1 to can a green bean? Probably. I have the seed in the plant, I have the maintenance of the plant, I have my time going into growing the plants. I have the jar. Technically I've bought the jars, so those can depreciate. But again, the jars, the lids, and the rings, along with the pressure canner and the water that goes into them. So it's, is it cost effective? I don't know. What is your time worth? What is it worth to you to know what is in your vegetables? That's, and again, it's not to like scare you or anything, but that's why I do it. It probably isn't cost effective for me, but health-wise, it's what I want to do. And the knowledge of, I made this, I grew this, I canned this. I will tell you, for me, there's no better feeling in the world than looking at a dish and being like, we grew the beef, we grew the vegetables, we, you know, made the sourdough, or whatever the case is. A true farm to table meal. There's so much that brings to me, and so much joy that it just brings to me. It just fills my cup, to be completely honest. And so, in order to make this happen, again, I had to make sure that my garden was planned out effectively and efficiently. I knew exactly what I could get into. There was a couple things on here in my goals that I'm not starting. And again, those are direct seed varieties. You can start corn. I've just found that it doesn't transplant as well. It kind of shocks a little bit. I do plan on doing a Three Sisters garden bed this year. If you don't know what that is, follow along and I'll kind of walk you through how I do that and what that entails. But yeah, you know, making sure that my garden is planned out effectively, and I'm using every space that I can, every nook, every cranny that I can, in order to make sure that we have enough food. Not necessarily for the year, but for the better part of the year. And maybe this will grow, maybe it won't. I'm not sure. I enjoy doing it. And again, like I said, it fills my cup to know that I put the majority of the food on the table. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave them below, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks everyone. Bye.